Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressed Dior, and this is Arkham Horror, the card game. Alright, time to go to No Man's Land. Turn back time. If the investigators clear a path to Etzley Ruins, skip to Intro 2. So we did clear a path, so we'll go there. You stand near the main temple of the Etzley, sweat pouring down your skin due to the hot, damp jungle air. Stunned, you examine your surroundings. Several tents are set up in the clearing in front of the temple. Jose stands guard along the border of your camp. And you see Maria packing equipment and provisions into her backpack, getting ready for her journey to the northern edge of the jungle, as you had instructed. Alejandro sits on a log in the center of the camp, decrypting the inscription he found near the temple's entryway. Your consciousness has been snapped so far back that your mind aches from the force of it. Your body shudders and you struggle to resist collapsing out of exhaustion. Though you have altered fate, your true task still remains ahead of you. As the rest of the expedition prepares to explore the ruins, you sneak off to fulfill your purpose, leaving Alejandro and the rest of your group behind. They wouldn't understand. They haven't seen what you have seen. Cross off all entries except for the first three. The crossed off entries have been undone by your actions because we went back in time. We cleared a path to Etzley Ruins. We pissed off Alejandro, and we have Ishchaka's trust. That is what we have. We got ourselves, setting up the deck. Open the packet of cards labeled "Do not open unless you are instructed." So a bunch of hidden cards. Remove the Relic of the Ages, repossess the past from the owner's deck and set it aside out of play. So I've already done that. We'll set it over here. So now I'm back down to 38 cards in the deck. And then a bunch of stuff that gets set aside. We start at the entryway, and it's the same as before. The sun sets over the temple ruins, bathing the stone in warm light. The sounds of the rainforest are distant by the time you cross underneath the painted entryway. Inside the halls are plunged into darkness. Over here, we do create an exploration deck. It's going to have 5 locations, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 treacheries. And I believe they're the same ones from the Doom of Etzley. Fallujah, Harbinger of Fallujah set aside. Same thing for that. We do add another Elder thing, making it our third one. Poison is fine, and then that is it. Counter deck, exploration deck, 2 agendas. Something stirs. Despite Ishchaka's warnings, you have entered the ruins of the temple in search of ancient knowledge and artifacts. This agenda gets +2 Doom threshold. When this agenda advances, do not remove Doom from each location in play. Enter the ruins once again. Despite everything that has occurred since you were last here, the Etzley Temple remains the same as it was when you first explored it. Preserved in an echo of time, use your memories to guide you, heading deeper into the ruins once more. Action, explore, draw the top card. If it's connecting, play it, move it. 6 clues to advance, and then we have skulls are -X, where X is the number of locations with Doom on them, and then the Elder thing is -4. If you fail, you place 1 Doom on your location. So we got a bunch of -4s to worry about. With all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and put a break here. And we're back. First things first, how damned are we? The sun. Each investigator, first turn, they take 2 fewer actions. So I start with only 1 action. Alright, for the purpose of this, I'll just set this aside because it only matters for the first turn. Alright, then top 3. For observed. Investigator hand size increases by 3. Get rid of a basic weakness, which doesn't help me. Oh wow, all of these aren't that great. I'll take the maximum hand size. And then shuffle the rest in. The healing one is okay, but yeah, removing the weakness, I don't think it matters. Or does it? Let me think about that. I'm just going to assume that I can't remove it. Or if I do remove it, I still have the sun on me. I don't know. Like I said, it's weird. In any case, that's still costly. But we'll go ahead and shuffle top 3 for Rita. Trying to do this. Oh my god, come on. Thank you. Alright, there's this one, which is the Elder. The autofail becomes treated as a 0 token instead every act. And then this is the one where you can search for an ally asset and add it to your hand and shuffle the deck. And then there's this one. I think I want to take the ally one. I think that one is more useful. I do like the autofail one as well, but this one is really good. When the game begins, each investigator searches their deck for an ally asset. Okay, so it's going to be after when the game officially begins. Okay. In any case, we'll go ahead and shuffle. And then search the top, search the top for skills. One, two, three, four. Why am I counting? There's no reason to. Perception. That's 4. Both my perceptions. Okay. Okay, and then shuffle, and then draw. All right, starting with Mr. Rook, Antikythera, Sacrament of Onyx, so Eureka, Award, and all that. Honestly, this is a good starting hand. I can work with this. All right. I think I'll keep this. The only thing that sucks is the fact I have only 1 action on my first round. All right, and then for Rita. Okay. 2 luckies, a fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher's nice. Let's drop these 2 cards. Actually, we'll do 3. We'll keep 1 lucky. All right. Unfortunately, we drew Pete Sylvester. I think that's the case. Yeah. So unfortunately, this got wasted, but that's okay. I need to ensure I get Pete. And we got a Chair's Keepsake as well. This is good. I'm not going to complain. All right, let's begin. Action, resign. You've escaped for now. Action, check your supplies. If you have torches, look at the top 2 cards of the exploration deck. Oh yeah, we can do this again. Many hundreds of years ago, this temple might have been a bastion of beauty and reverence in this perilous jungle. All right, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and spin 3 to get out Mr. Rook. And then that'll be it for her. I suppose I could also make the attempt. Why not? Search top 9, pick 2 cards. Never punished. All right, I'm going to grab this expedition journal. And to be honest, let's grab the Burning of the Midnight Oil. And remember, our max hand size has been increased by 3. All right, over here, I'm going to spend all of my actions and all of my resources. Pete Sylvester, Fire Extinguisher, Chair's Keepsake. Okay, round 1 done. Enemy phase, no enemies. Upkeep. Also, I'll shuffle this again to make sure. Upkeep. Don't need to discard. Aw, those are... Oh, well, that's fine. That's even worse. All right. A loss in time, shuffle a non-story asset you control into your deck, removing all blah, 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 blah. Okay, I have to do this. So I'll do the Chair's Keepsake. And then it surges into a Snake Scourge, which is actually perfect because then it's going to hit the end of the round and get discarded. All right, not the worst. Glad I got the Chair's Keepsake out to soak that. First Doom. Remember, this is we got 8 threshold right now. All right, Crypt Chill, Willpower 4. Let's go ahead and just commit the, I'm going to commit a Eye of Truth and a Occult Evidence. That'll put me at 8 to 4. We pass. This will get put up here. If I had had the Antikythera out, I would have gotten a clue for that. All right, and then for you, final mistake. It's just going to be 6 to 2. We're good to go. All right, investigation phase. Okay, first things first, I'm going to spend 3 to go ahead and get out Antikythera. And then I'm going to investigate using Burning the Midnight Oil to get 2 resources. Currently we are 5 to 2. 5 to 2, huh? Yeah, the elder things are going to be a problem. I'm going to commit a Eureka. 6 to 2. -0, so I pass by 4. I can, yep, was it X number of locations of doom on it, so it's 0. I was 6 to 2, so I beat it by 4. I'll get 1 clue. I will go ahead and search top 3 and use my ability to pick 2. I will pick this Knowledge is Power and this Promise of Power. And then shuffle, and then draw a card and gain a resource. Okay, we're doing this. All right. I do still have actions remaining. I'm going to spend 2. To go ahead and get out the Expedition Journal, and then I'm going to use it to explore. Actually, if I do that, there's a chance I can get that Doom one, and that Doom one sucks. So we'll hold off on it for now. Okay, meanwhile, Rita, let's, I'm going to activate Torches. So Torches is, look at the top 2 cards of the Exploration deck. Okay, we get rid of that. Deep Dark's gone. And then the rest gets shuffled back in. I'm going to go ahead and gain a resource. And then last action, I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Crypt Chill. Alright, we got rid of a Crypt Chill. Okay, so there's only 3 treacheries in there. We got rid of some of the bad ones. Alright, enemy phase, nothing. Upkeep. Okay, Sound Support. Grizzled. Second Doom. Surges. Deep Dark, that's fine for now. Ill Omen, choose a location with at least 1 investigator, put a Doom. Each investigator will take 1 horror. Got it. Take a horror, and we get our first Doom here. Okay, investigation phase. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Expedition Journal. Actually, before I do that, I will investigate this location. Actually, what are my chances? If you fail, you place a Doom. Yeah, I'll investigate using Burning the Midnight Oil to get 2 resources. We're 5 to 2. I am going to go ahead and pull up a Perception. No, I don't want to pull. Do I want to pull up a Perception? Yeah, let's pull up a Perception. 8, whatever. So that's 5 to 2. So I beat it by 3. I would get another clue, but I'm already getting a clue. So we got the clue. I draw 2 cards. All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do the expedition journal. I believe I shuffled, but I'll do it again. Oh well. I will go ahead and spend 1 and take a horror to ward that. Like so. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and spend 2 to go ahead and get out sound support. And last action, I am going to go ahead and explore one more time. Alright, so this is the one where if you don't succeed by at least 2, that's fine. 2 clues on this. Alright. I can potentially grab a clue here if I want to, but I'm not going to. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. And then I'm going to go ahead and move down. And then I'm going to gain a resource. This will heal. Enemy phase upkeep. I didn't do Mr. Rook, but that's okay. Okay. This goes away. 4th Doom. Obscuring Fog. Fang of Yig. Alright. Mandy. Let's go ahead and investigate this location. I'm going to spend 1 to do Practice Makes Perfect. Search top 9. There's our weakness. Ancestral Fear. I have to put a Doom on the location or put in the victory display as Vengeance. If I keep it as Vengeance, let's put it as Vengeance. Does surge into this. There's no Doom on this location, thankfully, so it's 3 to 2. If I fail, I take what, 2 damage? Yeah, I'll go 3 to 2. Only -1, so I do pass, just barely. Okay, now I actually have to do the test itself. I'm 5 to 4 right now. I'm going to do Ancestral Knowledge. And we can go 7 to 4 with deduction. No, we need to keep it safe. We'll go 8 to 4 with perception. We passed by a lot. We passed by 4. This Obscuring Fog's been resolved. I passed by more than 2, so I do not have to flip anything. Also, I'm not going to reread these. These are the same things as before. I do get to draw 2 cards from perception. And then I can exhaust this to draw a card and gain a resource. Like so. And that was my first action. Alright. Next, I'm going to do Mr. Rook and use my ability. Search top 9 for 2 cards. I'll grab both the segment of onyxes. Then I'm going to gain a resource and then spend all 3 to get out all the segments of onyxes. Pendant Queen does take an accessory slot, which is why I have the Relic Hunter. I'm now going to go ahead and exhaust Pendant of the Queen to get 1 clue. I'm going to use the Expedition Journal to explore. Not connected. Connected. You must either draw 2 cards from the top of the encounter deck or place 2 Doom on the Burial Chamber or any combination thereof. Alright, this will have 2 clues on it. I will draw 2 cards. Lost in Time. I will pick the Mr. Rook. Goodbye. Second one. Tear in Time. We are currently 3-3. I will go ahead and commit a Promise of Power. So that puts us at... I was at 7, so 4-3 I do pass. This goes away. Okay. So good news is we're making progress. Bad news is it's everything else. This will get shuffled back in. All right. Meanwhile, over here with Rita. This guy does not have Hunter. I'm going to go ahead and evade. We'll go 3-6. We pass by a lot. I'll go ahead and... how much fight do you have? 3? I'll use my ability to do a damage. I'm going to go ahead and spin 2 to go ahead and get out the Derringer. And then I will shoot the Derringer. This will put us at 5-3. Let's see if I did. Actually, no, I'm not going to shoot the Derringer. I'm going to use the Fire Extinguisher. This will put us at 4-3. I passed just barely. Does 2 damage, kills it. 1 down. Alright. Enemies? No enemies on the board. Oh, I still had an action remaining. I apologize. We need to resolve that. Give me a moment. I'm going to figure out exactly what Mandy has done. Okay, I do have 1 action remaining with Mandy here. I'm just going to gain a resource. Because I kind of need it. I need the resources right now. Alright, that takes care of everything. Upkeep. Yeah, sorry for getting mixed up. There's so many like reaction and fast effects on Mandy. It's actually kind of ridiculous. Okay, I can work with that. Burn after reading, even better. Mythos, we're now 5 of 8. Tear in Time, we're 3-3. We can solve that with this. Alright, Ancestral Knowledge, Cult Theory, that'll make us 8-3. Alright, take 3, or take a, so I take Horror. I'm going to put a Horror here, and take 2 Horror there. That sucked. And then over here, Brood of Yug. It actually has +1 fight, because I did put a Ancestral Fear up here. Alright, Investigation. I'm going to start with... I am going to go ahead and start with oh, I got engaged a few times, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I should have done Bewitchings twice. I'm going to say the Ace in the Hole and the Dirty Fighting. I completely forgot about my Bewitching. I apologize. So he hits for what? 1 and 1? Okay. I'm going to start with Rita. I'm going to take, I am actually going to take the attack opportunity. Spend 3 to go ahead and get out the Dirty Fighting. And then I'm going to evade him, 6 to 3. We succeed. I'll use my ability to do a damage. And then I'm going to use Dirty Fighting and attack with the Fire Extinguisher. So 4 to 3. Sorry, 6 to 3. Alright. I'll attack one more time. 6 to 3. Fire Extinguisher. Good. Does 2 damage. Kills it. Alright. I am going to go ahead and fast out the Ace in the Hole. I'm going to move down to here. I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 to do a burn after reading and get rid of my one of my Glimmer of Hopes. So not only do I get both clues here, but I also get to remove a Doom from the agenda. So that was our action was move. Yeah, so I put out Dirty Fighting, failed, evaded, killed, and then moved down and did the burn after reading. Okay, so I have 1 action remaining, which I'll go ahead and do as Explorer. Actually, before we do that, I will advance. Alright, Sleeping Corridors. You pass by carvings in the walls and hieroglyphs etched into stone altars. The location of the Relic's vault is already locked deep in your memory. Shuffle the set-aside Chamber of Time location into the exploration deck. Put this action in the victory slate, gains Vengeance 2. Alright. So these Brood of Yiggs now are 5/5s. That's great. Alright. Let's take the Chamber of Time. Add it in here. The chamber still remains. In the central chamber, deep within the core of the ruin, the relic awaits. Draw the top card of the exploration deck if it is a connecting location, blah, blah, blah. Only investigators in the Chamber of Time may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. Alright. So far, so good. Last action, I will explore. While there's an enemy in the underground ruins... okay, so it's this thing. So I'll put you over here. Vengeance 1 has 2 clues. These go away. I'll heal heal a horror off of Pete Sylvester, and that'll be it. Alright, Mandy. We're not going to worry about the vengeance here because we don't want it. Expedition Journal, we're going to go ahead and explore. Oh, at the start of her turn, the sound support will heal 1 horror. And we'll get to work here. Okay, secret passage, which is the only thing that connects to the chamber. You must either take 1 horror and damage. I have the rope, so we're fine on that. 2 clues. Okay, I already used all of that. I'm going to go ahead and investigate this location. We'll go 5 to 5. Actually, no, sorry. I'm going to use Library Pass to get out Grim Memoir, and I'll use Grim Memoir. 7 to 5. I will still do a Practice Makes Perfect, search top 9. I will use my ability to pick 2 cards. Alright, I'm going to pick this Deduction. And this Eye of Truth. Please don't autofail. Alright, so this is going to be 7, 9, 13 to 5. – All right, we passed by a bunch, or we're not going to be able to trigger this, unfortunately. But we do get both clues here. These will both go into my hand. And then, oh, I get to draw a card as well because of the Grim Memoir. Cult Theory. All right, I will go ahead and explore. Ancient Hall. Not connected. This is the one that flips clues gradually, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. Final mistake. So that's just a agility 2 test. We're 3-2 right now. I'll commit a survey of the area and go 8-2. So that's 6-2. I believe that's correct. We're 8 minus 2, and this thing there's no doom on this location. Yeah, we're good to go. So I pass. I'm going to use the Antikythera to get a resource and draw a card. This goes away. All right. And then last action, I'm going to go ahead and explore one more time. I don't remember if I shuffled or not, so I'll shuffle. Okay. Entombed. Put into play in your threat area. You can't engage enemies or move. Okay, so we're stuck. Not a problem. Yet. Alright, I don't need to discard, because max hand size is 11. Alright, no enemies on the board. Upkeep. Upkeep. Mythos. Back to 5 of 8. Brood of Yig. Creeping Poison. Entombed. Okie dokie. Oh, also this needs to go on the bottom of my deck. Okay. Alright, investigation phase. There's 2 cards left. They're both locations, so we're good on that front. So this guy has 5/5, huh? Alright, I'm going to start with Rita. First things first, we need to get this thing off of us. So 6-4. It's -1, so I do pass. It goes away. Then I'll move down. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the other Entombed. We succeed by a lot, and it goes away. All right, I don't have to worry about this because if an investigator at the secret passage has a rope, we're good to go. All right. So Brood of Yig doing the things it does. I will go ahead and library pass. Get out the Necronomicon, and then spend 4 to do 3 damage and kill it. I will then spend 3 to get out Mr. Rook. I will then explore. Not connected, and the last one is this, of course. Okay, has 4 clues on it. Okay, spawn the set aside Relic of Ages, which is probably the one that's in here. Dice of some sort, and put a Doom on it. Okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and investigate. This place has 4 Shroud. And I'll commit a deduction. This will be 7-4. And I'll use a secret to get +2. So this will be 9 to 4. -4, so that puts me at 5 to 4. So I pass by 1. So I could get an additional clue if I want to. Actually, I need to anyway, because I'm only going to get 2 clues from the deduction, and then I can exhaust this to grab 1 more clue. Like so. Oh, only... Wait, why am I missing a clue? I have a solution. Pendant of the Queen. I'm going to grab 1 clue from here. Alright, that gets me... Oh, I didn't need to get that many clues. Take it back. We did have enough clues. Abort. Sorry, I thought I needed 6. We have 4, which is perfect. Yeah, because we had 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and then I did 2 and 3 here. So I have 5, right? Yep, 5 clues. Alright, I'll spend 4 clues and advance. As a group to advance. Just verify. Yeah, it's just advance whenever. And this one is just only people at the Chamber of Time. Got it. Reversal. The relic hums with power and throbs in your hands. Energy from the device seeps into the corridors of the ruins, and the structure of the temple shifts. However, this does not matter to you. Escaping with the relic is no longer your goal. You skillfully work the hidden components of the device once more, manipulating the very fabric of time in the environment around you. Determined to stop all of this from having ever occurred, you turn the clock back once more. Choose an investigator at the Chamber of Time to take control of the Relic of Ages. I will take control of it. And that should be good. I'm going to verify a couple more things. Yeah, set aside out of play. Which Relic of Ages am I grabbing? Let me verify. Okay, I got my clarification. So, it's the other one. The reason why it's the other one is it specifically says the repossess the past is set aside out of play. And then what this says is take the set aside one. This is the set aside one. So this is repossess the past. You still do put a doom on it, of course, but now we have this ability on it. All right, continue on the rest of this stuff. Search the collection for a Yig, the Forgotten Age card 296, and spawn him. Hello, Yig. We managed to avoid you. Now you're back. He spawns at the Chamber of Time. Put this act in the victory display. Gains Vengeance 2. We now have 5 Vengeance. Good times. You stand in the center of the relic's vault, surrounded on all sides by slain Etzli warriors. The Father of Serpents stands before you, his hiss shaking you to your bones. This is where the Etzli made their last stand. Now only you stand in the creature's way. Moment of doom. Relic of Ages gains action, tests willpower, orb, intelligence 4. If you succeed, flip a clue controlled by an investigator at your location to its doom side and place it on your location. Then deal 3 damage to Yig. If Yig is defeated, advance. Okay, I'm going to... This goes away. So, 6 health. Well, so he has... Yeah, we've gone over his stats before when we were doing the Depths of Yoth and not having to deal with them. So, 12 health. As you already know, I have the means to kill this thing. So it has to be an enemy engaged with you. This massive enemies are engaged with you at all times while they're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 2 Knowledge of Power to do 6 damage. And then I'm going to use a Pendant of the Queen to evade him. There are no other serpents, so we're good on that part. Then I'm going to... I have 1 clue on me. I can do Intelligence 4 or Willpower 4. Let's do Willpower 4. I'm going to do Occult Theory and activate the Relic of Ages here. So if you succeed, flip a clue controlled by an investigator and deal 3 damage. Okay, so I am currently 8 to 4. I succeed. I'll flip this clue to Doom side and put it down here and do 3 damage to Yig. I think I'm a little over-prepared for this. Also, I completely forgot about my Necronomicon. I'll just say I used the charge to get +2. Why not? Alright, that's everybody. Necronomicon will go on the bottom of my deck. If only I had a way to get it faster. Alright, enemy phase not going on. Now, the thing that will slow me down is if we spawn serpents here. But if that happens, it happens. Alright, upkeep. Mythos. We're 8 of... Yeah, we're 8 of 8. Unless I do the Relic of Ages prior to this. Yeah, I'll do Relic of Ages. I might as well do it. So I'll do I can do it during the upkeep, and I'll commit an Eye of Truth and a existential riddle. Okay, I succeed. That'll remove the Doom from this one. Actually, more importantly, sorry about that. I want to remove the Doom from the Chamber of Time itself, because Doom on locations stay in play, but not things on objects. Okay, so with that means we don't advance. We'll be at 7. So yeah, I am going to go ahead and flip the Relic of Ages over just to show that I've used the ability. It's any card in play. Yeah, just any card in play. Got it. This thing's being a pill. There we go. Alright, bad cards. Oh boy. Okay, we're going to need to deal with this. This thing, by the way, has Retaliate Hunter and takes 1 less damage from attacks made against it. And we have a Fanged Yig on us. Okay. Cannot be damaged while there's another Ready Serpent at this location. So the key word is Ready Serpent. So I already have a solution to this. I'm going to use the Pen of the Queen to exhaust the Serpent of Yoth. These will get shuffled back into the deck. I'll use my ability on Mr. Rook. Get 2 cards, search top 9. I'll grab the Necronomicon and a Segment of Onyx. I will then use the Library Pass to get out the Necronomicon. Yig is engaged with me. I'll do 3 damage. And that's game. Victory 5. Yeah, as long as there is another Ready Serpent at its location. This thing's exhausted, so it's not ready, so I can do damage to it again. Oh wait, sorry, it has more HP than that. Sorry, it has 18 health, not 12. The more you know. So with that in mind, we might have to soak a hit in a second, which is not the end of the world, but wasn't something I was prepared for. I can try evading him. What do I have in here? I do have that. Okay, I will try evading him. I'll use Ancestral Knowledge. Get Survey the Area up and running. Will be 8 to 4. This is minus... I removed the Doom from here. So there's only 1 location with Doom now. So -1, so that's 7 to 4, which is 1. Okay, so what I can do here is exhaust the Antikythera to grab this clue. Because I beat it by 3. He's evaded. This goes away. That goes away. Then I'm going to go ahead and use the 2 secrets on this Necronomicon to draw 2 cards. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just gain 2 resources and then spend all of them to get out the segmented onyxes again. And get the Pendulum Queen out. And then I will go ahead and use the charge of Pendulum Queen to get out this, grab that clue here, bring it there. Sorry. And that is it. Necronomicon is going to put the Library Pass will put the Necronomicon on the bottom of the deck, and that is it for her. Rita, I kind of need you over here, so let's get to work. I did get engaged by this, so I will use Bewitching to get the sweep and kick. And then I will proceed to murder this thing. I'm going to invade it 6-3. Alright, that's an auto fail. Alright, I'll evade again, 6-3. Okay, I'll use my ability, and then I will Dirty Fighting it. This will put me at 6-3. With the Fire Extinguisher, it takes 2 damage, it dies. And then last action, we'll move down. Okay. Enemy phase, nothing. Upkeep, we'll have this engage you. Mythos. Alright. Alright, now we advance. Doom that's out does stay out in play. Hold on a second, I think I missed something. 1 second. So much to keep track of. I completely forgot to remove the Doom for the Chamber of Time. So that is why it's in this state. So I do remove the Doom from my Relic of Ages. And then we do advance. You know where we're getting. The Ruins Awaken. Just then a sound thrums in the walls of the temple, a still humming similar to that of a generator. Grooves in the walls and the ceiling flicker and start to glow. It is as though the temple is alive, and it senses your presence. The strange statues and carvings you've seen, coupled with the dim glow and the power coursing through the walls, makes it clear that this temple isn't Aztec in origin. In fact, it appears to be from an even older, more ancient civilization altogether. You feel as though you are an intruder in a world you cannot begin to understand. Confirming your worst fears, a loud hiss and rattling echoes throughout the temple. Whatever you just woke up, it's not happy to see you. I mean, I've just woke up Yig. Pretty sure we have other issues. So it's going to spawn at the place with the most doom, which thankfully is just the entryway. So we got a few rounds. The Temple Warden. The serpent creature emerges from the shadows with terrifying speed. It is bedecked in gilded feathers and wields a golden spear, the blade tip unravaged by time. The rattle at the end of the creature's tail produces a tremendous noise as the creature hunts you throughout the ruins. 14 doom to advance. We're at 1. Alright, nothing I need to worry about there. This thing's tougher than Yig himself. Anyway. Ancestral Fear, I'll put this in the victory display. Yeah, might as well. Surges, Deep Dark, that's fine. Over here, Curse of Yig, that's slightly annoying. Alright, Investigation. I mean, the good news is we killed most of the lizards already. Yeah, we killed 2 Fangs of Yig and 2 Broods of Yig, so there's only like 1 of each left in the deck. So by the time, I mean, granted, there's only 6 encounter cards left anyway. Alright, so here's the situation. We need to deal with Yig. We need to do 6 more damage. So the question is, well, first I need to deal with the Serpent of Yoth. At the very least, we need to evade him. I can go 6-3 with him, so I will. 6-3. Wow, I literally have nothing in my discard. 6-3. It's -1. You're evaded. I'm not going to use the ability. And then we're going to go up against Yig. Let's do... I'm going to spend 1 to do a sweeping kick. This will put us at 8-4. We pass. We'll do 2 damage and auto evade him. I'll use my ability to do another damage. And then I'm going to follow up with a Dirty Fighting and shoot my Derringer. This will be 6-4. We pass. We do 2 damage. Last action, I'm going to shoot the Derringer. This is -4, and I'm at 6 right now. So that's 2-4. I'm going to use Lucky, draw a card, and succeed, and do 2 damage, killing Yig. Now Yig is dead. And just reading this again, cannot be damaged while there's another readied serpent enemy at its location. And then each other serpent enemy at Yig's location gets alert and retaliate. Did I auto-fail any of those? I don't think I did. Well, I don't think I did, at least at the location. I mean, if I did, I could definitely tank a Serpent of Yoth or whatever else, so I think it's fine. With that, if Yig is defeated, advance. Yig's fall. The creature roars in pain. His tail thrashes violently, crushing several pillars and sending you flying to the ground. He retreats with a hateful rumbling hiss. You turn your attention back to the relic in the chamber that was built to preserve it. It is time to end this once and for all. It is time to do what must be done. Resolution 1. Thursday, December 17th, 1925. No one else has ever learned of the events that truly occurred during the summer of 1925, and no one ever will. For I intend to keep this journal locked in my safe deposit box once I have finished writing in it. I seek only to preserve my own record of these events, for I do not wish the passage of time to erase them completely. After all, these are not my memories, but the memories of my other self, the self who ventured through the time and space to save humanity. It is difficult to explain how we did it, what we did. After all that happened, Ishtaka Alejandro, the city of Yithians, Yoth, it turns out the true doom of humanity had occurred much, much earlier, when we first left to find the Etzli. We brought all of these events upon ourselves. In order to prevent this calamity, we had to seal the relic away forever. I remember these events as though I myself had experienced them, though for me, the expedition had gone much differently. We reached the central chamber of the Etzli ruins, but it was sealed shut, and nothing, not even the TNT that Jose had brought from the trucks, could breach the entrance. Although we returned to Arkham with proof that Etzli existed, no other expedition would ever find them or their ruins again. My other self perished in those ruins, but I remember. Somehow, I remember everything. Record that the investigators seal the Relic of Ages forever. Each investigator gets experience equal to victory X value for each card in the victory display, and we win the campaign. Congratulations. What's kind of neat about this is one of the few endings where you don't end with any trauma, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. I do feel kind of bad that we kind of beat up Yig, but to be honest, out of all of the ancient ones, Yig tends to get kind of beaten up quite easily. He was generally one of the easier ones in second edition Arkham Horror. Obviously, like I said, the only reason we were able to pull this off was because of Necronomicon with Library Pass. The Necronomicon itself is not necessarily overpowered. It's the fact that there are other cards out there that can make where you can recur it, essentially. Or at least play it in a way where you can keep getting it out more and more without having to cycle through your deck. This is why Mandy is usually the non-taboo Mandy. Generally, the overpowered version, like the top tier, is to go rogue with her, because that gets you access to Sleight of Hand, which is a level 0 rogue card, which lets you just put out an asset. Obviously, if you saw my Arkham Horror, you see me play with it a little bit. That was when I was playing the Grave Robber. But that's part of the reason why Sleight of Hand got nerfed in the taboo version, putting an XP cap where it can only bring out level 3 or lower items, so it can't bring out the Necronomicon. That being said, I don't mind doing this because honestly, this was the only way I was going to beat this campaign. Like I mentioned, I did get all the way to Shattered Aeons without the Necronomicon and one of my personal playthroughs. But there's just so many enemies. With just two players, it's just not doable. I'm as of recording this, I am still waiting on my group to finish up the Shattered Aeons. And I am playing with a Mystic Mandy in that one, though it's an older version of the deck, and I'm not using Necronomicon. But having 3 people makes a huge difference in this thing, because I've mentioned it before, the mechanics of this are really rough for low player counts. Essentially, high player counts tends to hurt the supply side stuff, and then having low player counts makes the Explore mechanic really, really bad. I generally don't like the Explore mechanic. I like the idea behind the Explore mechanic, where you're like revealing things and it can kind of randomize your trip through unknown territory. I generally don't like the fact that the treacheries can make it fail. I don't know. I'm not sure design-wise how to fix it per se. I think, in my opinion, Explorer can't. You should make it so Explorer can't fail. Where instead of exploring, and if you get the treachery card, you fail and you stop. I think it should just be you get the treachery card and keep going. So yeah, in certain situations, you may be in a situation where you draw multiple treacheries to get your location, and you have to suffer through all of them. Which, I mean, I guess you could potentially take a huge burst of damage from that, but that can be easily rebalanced by just changing up what treacheries are put in there. Maybe even toning down some of the treacheries, which are already kind of ridiculous to begin with. But I think that's my opinion. I think the fact that it can fail is the biggest issue. Like, literally, you don't have any control over it. Sure, you can get certain supplies that can help, but even that's RNG. Like the torches, like the first time we messed with the torches in Doom of Etsley, I whiffed both times. I managed to at least hit 2 of them with Rita this time, and that definitely saved a bunch of time. I mean, at this point, as you see, we had plenty of turns. I wasn't sure what to expect, so I was going pretty hard on this. And I definitely didn't want to stick around on any of these locations, so it is what it is. I do like the Vengeance mechanic by itself, but the problem, like I said, is you're forced to wear a lot of hats in this campaign. You have to. In most campaigns, you're usually fine with having a Cleaver and a Thug, but in this one, if you want to avoid the Vengeance, you have to have somebody that can like non-lethally deal with enemies. And that's just another role that you usually are not going to be specialized in. Like, your Thug is usually not going to have enough evasion to actually make that happen. That's part of the why I went with the Mystic Mandy deck, because that ensured I can get Occult Studies and Survey the Area as my practice cards. That way I can use them to deal with the Mythos and possibly evade if I need to. Overall, the luck of this run went a lot better than I expected. Some of my messed up runs where I messed up the rules, or I got frustrated in the first scenario, just mainly because I got tilted for really no reason. It was just me failing to read. But there was definitely some situations where we double drew, auto fails and all that. But at that point, I had enough clue compression thanks to Necronomicon, Pen to the Queen, all that it kind of balanced it out. But I'm kind of going all over the place now. The supply mechanic. Like I said, Arkham Horror probably did it the best. I mean, I've only really seen 2 different versions. It's Arkham Horror and this. Arkham Horror is better. Hands down, it's the best design. The cards are actual assets. Obviously, we have the cards in this because it's a digital version, but I think in the box version, you have to just write them down. I mean, I think the cards do exist, but you're just writing them down to keep track of them. And the problem with that, of course, is it means that they're not real cards. They're just things that are that you have noted, and they may come into play or may not. In Arkham Horror, they're actual assets, and you can literally read the card. It'll tell you exactly what they're for. There's no mystery about it. You know exactly what you're bringing them in for the expedition. Speaking of expeditions, Arkham Horror, Arkham Horror, I think, approached it a lot better, which is where they kind of had the first scenario be a tutorial, where you get to the estate, and then you're like, let's go do a quick excursion into the dungeons. And you learn the general what's to expect. You know about light. You know about what sort of things, encounter cards you'll run into in there. And then at that point, it's like, okay, now we'll go get supplies. And then you could be like, all right, you know what? You now know why it's important to have torches. And then you also know that there's a lot of possible unavoidable effects that you need to account for, either having your own soak or bringing supplies that can help soak for you. But in this, it's all a mystery. You don't know. And many people have said that for a blind playthrough, it makes it really, really rough because you don't know what you're bringing. Like, what if you're like, I'm concerned about food, so I'll spend 6, supply on food. And you end up, realizing you're having all this food, but all these events are asking you whether or not you had chalk or rope or whatever. The other issue is even when you're not playing this blind, even if you spoil it or you've played through it enough that you know all the interactions, once you know all the interactions, the decisions for the supplies are almost entirely made for you. If you do not want to get any vengeance whatsoever and get 0 EX Fury, you have to take chalk. If you want to actually have more rounds to actually complete things that are already stressful, like Doom of Etzley, you need rope. Rope's also used for a lot of other effects. If you don't want to take any trauma whatsoever, you have to eventually bring a blanket, or at least either at the beginning or at least in phase 2, in the second supply point, where you can at least prevent some of it. If you don't want to get trauma and you want to get experience, you have to bring binoculars, period. If you don't bring binoculars, you're going to have to pick someone to get trauma. And no one wants to leave experience on the table. So you're already going to have to have binoculars, or already have to have chalk. You pretty much need to have torches at one point, I think. The pickaxe, you pretty much need for exploring, unless you want to get Doom accumulated. And then, like I mentioned before, the rope, you kind of have to do it too, because if you don't, you're going to either take a lot of damage going through the secret passage or put Doom down. It's also used to avoid certain trauma, like in the when the agenda advances in Depths of Yoth. So kind of like you've already spent all these supplies. In 1 or 2 player, this is not too bad, because generally you can be like, all right, I can grab... Actually, in 1 player, it's actually pretty rough. You're going to have to give up something. I guess the question is, what would you give up? But in 2 player, you can at least kind of make this work. Obviously, you need to get provisions. Provisions you don't necessarily need. You just have to be aware of that you're going to have to pay a tax for that. Same thing for gasoline. Medicine is literally just there for poison. Speaking of poison, again, poison is just another mechanic where I feel like it could have been good, but it's just way over to the top. I think the biggest issue with poison is it carries it over to other scenarios. I like the idea of having an effect that you can pick up that makes things like cards that are otherwise harmless do things to you. That's kind of what they did with Dunwich, where if you drank and the house always wins, things got worse. And I think there were some other triggers, I think in The Last King, or whatever it's called, in Carcosa, where if you had certain effects active, things happened. Same thing for City of Archives. Like, certain things got much worse based off whatever effects you managed to activate or not activate. Even Threads of Fate kind of had some additional things based off what acts you had completed. I think the poison mechanic would have been great. It'd been like, all right, and medicine can still be kind of useful in that aspect, where instead of getting rid of the poison after the scenario is done, you can it's just something you have in your inventory to soak it for you, which gives it a more active effect. But yeah, the idea of just like, okay, you have poison, and it's going to make this scenario suck, but after you're done, you'll feel better. Obviously, that's not how real poison works, but for a gameplay perspective, I think it's a lot better to do. Like I said, the other issue is the fact that once you're poisoned, it doesn't go away even if you have medicine. It only goes away after you complete a scenario and the interlude includes something that calls it up. So, for example, if you got poisoned in Untamed Wilds or Doom of Etzley, and after Threads of Fate, you decide to, at the supply point, buy medicine, you're still going to be poisoned until you complete Boundary Beyond and then go beyond that. I believe that's the case. I mean, we could find out real quick. This video is going long, but that's okay. So yeah, resupply point. Yeah, so it definitely doesn't happen at the start of Boundary Beyond. Yeah, so you would have to wait until the next. You have to wait, even if you buy medicine in at the end of Threads of Fate. You can't cure the poison until at the end of Boundary Beyond, because medicine doesn't actually do anything unless there's an event that says otherwise, which only happens in the interludes. So, and it's just like each of these by themselves would be kind of annoying, maybe frowned upon, but it's a combination of all of it. You have the explorer mechanic, supply mechanic, poison, the requirement that you need a person that's specifically designed for evading, and you also have to have someone that's good for dealing with swarms of enemies. It's just kind of a lot of things. The individual scenarios themselves are generally really good. It's just the fact that scenarios 1 and 2 literally try to crush you. Like, you feel bad about it. Like, even if you're winning, like, even if you do perfectly in Untamed Wilds, but you didn't bring a blanket, well, you just got trauma. Just because. I think that's the kind of the issue. That's the other thing about the Arkham horror supplies is it's not a matter of you get a negative thing if you don't have it. It's all of them give you a positive thing. So you get to decide what to bring. Obviously, the torches were probably the only exception in Arkham horror because they literally gave you more time. So, with all that said, like I said, I think individually a lot of these scenarios are really good. I really like Threads of Fate. The fact that I got something I never saw before in all my playthroughs this time around was really nice. Depths of Yoth, I really like the fact that it gives you a really good reward for managing to get through all of it with no Yig's Fury. Like, being able to just say, okay, we don't have to worry about Yig, I think is really good. Which is nice because you have to deal with the Explorer mechanic. City of Archives, I think, City of Archives is kind of a trap. That's probably the only thing I have to say about it. Besides it, like, the theming is great. It's just the fact that if you go at this blind and you're not prepared to have like a lot of skill card or things you can commit to, or a lot of things that give you stat increases to mitigate the fact that you have 2s in all your stats, you're going to be kind of in a world of hurt. Heart of the Elders Part 1, this is the first time I've actually played it in this playthrough, and honestly it wasn't too bad. But part of that also was I had a really decked out deck with Mandy. Honestly, this campaign expects you to kind of bring your A game. That's kind of why I don't have any regrets about bringing such a broken deck. I mean, I probably could have made it more broken, to be honest, but even with all the stuff I had with Mandy, and honestly Rita was pretty good too, as far as just evading things, I did have to spend a lot of time thinking about how to solve a problem, because there are so many things that it throws at you at once. Lots of enemies, lots of doom, and you got to have answers for it, or you have to have a way of compressing your action economy enough to make up for the fact that there's a bunch of cultists suddenly spawning with a bunch of doom. Now, to be fair, I did do the hardest route, which is going your own path. I am curious to see how this would play out on an Ishtaka or Alejandro route. Alejandro route would be interesting because that means you don't have to deal with cultists in Boundary Beyond, I don't think. And I'm pretty sure you don't have to deal with any cultists in Shattered Aeons. That being said, I think I'd rather hang out with Ishtaka because she's kind of cool. I'm pretty sure, I don't think I'll ever do a run where I'm trying to get as much vengeance as possible, but I may be willing to do a run where I'm willing to kill snakes that are in my way, and kind of go that route. Because obviously, if you're just stacking a bunch of vengeance, you're just asking to be killed in Depths of Yoth. But yeah, overall, I mean, once I kind of calmed down, like I said, the first, second, and fourth scenarios are really stressful. There's just so much stuff that can just ruin you. You can get a lot of extra trauma. You can get poisoned in multiple cases. You can get a random weakness in Boundary Beyond. But once you kind of survive through that, the rest of this is actually a lot of fun. Like even Shattered Aeons, which is really, really difficult, but it is technically the final scenario. It is the final scenario unless you're going the secret ending. So I expect this to be really, really hard, and it is. And like I said, I think it'll be a lot easier if you're going either of the other routes because you only have to deal with one or the other character instead of, both Ishtaka and Alejandro and deal with their, 20 HP that they have together. But yeah, I'm actually glad I managed to sit through and record this. Hopefully some people managed to stick around after my raging in the first couple of scenarios. As you probably have noticed, this was really tense. No question about it. I was just like, there's so many things that could go wrong if I auto-fail. And that's kind of a lot of the things I ran into. It was a lot of the reasons why I raged on my own when I played this, because I was just like, okay, boundary beyond, I need to bring something to pass a will check so I don't get the weakness. And then I'm like, all right, I get the autofail. It's like, okay, well, I can't do anything. I got a weakness for that. And then it's like, okay, there's that thing that poisons you if he attacks you. I'm like, okay, I have existential riddle. I'll just use that. And it's like autofail. It's like, all right, and then, you get the Harbinger of Volusia on you, and you're like, all right, I can evade him. I can just use this survey there. And he's like, all right, autofail. And it's like, okay, well, now he just hit me for 2 and 2, and I don't have an answer anymore. Like autofails in this game, in this particular campaign, is just really devastating. You have to be on your A game. You have to have an answer for everything. That's part of the reason why I brought things like that didn't require tests, like Pen of the Queen, Necronomicon, etc. I'll go ahead and talk about the decks. I'll talk about Rita first, since she has a little less going on. I went with less assets this time around with Rita. I didn't bring Trenchcoat. I kind of calmed down on. I even cut down on Pete Sylvester's and even the Chair's Keepsake towards the end, because I really wanted to kind of be a little bit more event focused. But I found myself in situations where I just didn't need to use the events. Also, I had a tendency to just keep getting the look what I found, which I don't regret putting into the deck, but I just didn't have the economy to back it up. I had Take Hearts, which honestly I think I should just replace those with literally anything else. I'm just not. I find Take Art really awkward to use. I think I should just replace them with maybe some just emergency caches and just call it. Obviously, the big source of my income was my hunting jacket once I get that out. But if I don't draw the hunting jacket in the starting hand, then I'm kind of stuck economy wise. Hoods is always devastating, and it scares the hell out of me every time. The fact that there's no way to avoid his forced effect if you do any sort of evasion. Like, even if I do something like use Pen of the Queen, he will still attack you. You don't even have to be in the same location. It just says he attacks you. Doesn't matter. You can even if you evade him while he's exhausted, he will still attack you. He will just murder you. I think by itself it wouldn't have been bad if that was just his ability. But the thing on top of it is the fact he hits for horror. If he hit for 2 damage instead of damage and a horror, I think that would have been a lot easier for this. Because Rita only has 5 sanity, and if she doesn't have her soak out, she's just kind of at this thing's mercy. I did bring back the Derringers towards the end, and I don't regret it. Starting out with Derringers is definitely not recommended. They cost 3 to get out at level 0 and only have 2 shots. The level 2 version gets you 3 ammo for 2, and that's a lot better. Also, if you ever fail a shot with it, you get the ammo back and get +1, which is kind of useful. I actually used I'm Done Running twice this campaign, which is more than I've ever done, ever. It's actually a neat little ability if you just need to get damage out. That's the biggest issue with Rita, of course, is I couldn't get damage out compared to an actual thug, but also she was very, very, very reliable as far as evading was concerned. So dealing with the snakes and all that was perfect, essentially. Resourceful was great once I actually had things in the discard. Fire Extinguisher is just kind of there. It's really my last purchase for obvious reasons. Meat Cleavers by themselves usually can do what I need them to do. I have never used the second ability on Fire Extinguisher, but that's part of the reason why I did purchase it. The problem is a lot of situations where I need Rita to deal with multiple enemies. Those enemies are usually not on her. So it ends up being a situation where I just can't really use this because it has to be engaged with you. Dirty Fighting is amazing, no questions asked. Bewitching actually worked better than I thought it would. My recent problems with Bewitching is it definitely guarantees you get your Dirty Fighting out once you get engaged by an enemy. But the problem is you generally want your Dirty Fighting out before you start fighting. But I kind of made my deck in a way where I was like, I'm a little bit more prepared to play this and take a hit and then follow up. But it really depends on how badly I need to compress my action economy. The start of this deck did have a lot of had some perseverances and other things to kind of help ensure she survived long enough to get the hunting jacket and other things. Event wise, the bum rushes, unfortunately, I didn't really see much use. I think I used them once. I do like the fact they are an evade, because that can definitely change things mechanically as far as what you commit and whether the enemy has retaliate or not. But in most cases, it just ended up not being something I needed as badly. I think it's okay to start with bum rushes and then gradually go to level 2 cheap shots. I think that's probably the way to go. Um, and then obviously you have the sweeping kicks to replace your old cheap shots in the meantime. No questions about Lucky. Grizzled, it didn't see as much use simply because it's definitely like it's the expected concern, which is you run into traits that aren't on the Grizzled. That being said, it did let me parlay with Ishtaka on the first scenario, and that alone made it worth it. But it did help on hexes, which was something you've run into. The biggest issue with Grizzled is it requires prior knowledge of the campaign. There are some common traits that are pretty much universal across almost all of the campaigns that you can kind of go off of, like humanoid, hazard in most cases, or humanoid monster. There's a lot of things you can kind of specialize in this. This is definitely not a customizable skill I'm willing to put XP into beyond maybe 1 to 3 just to get extra traits on it. I don't really care about the Always Prepared or Mythos Hardened or Nemesis, to be honest. Burn After Reading was great. I was actually, let's see, I think we used the first one back in City Archives. Like, I was actually willing to spend the XP for Exiles just to ensure that I get clues or get rid of Doom. Doom manipulation was definitely very, very important in this campaign because there's a lot of things that will be ancient evils or equivalent. The other issue, of course, is a lot of these scenarios not only had ancient evils in them, but had a lot of triggers that would shuffle the encounter deck, shuffle the discard back into the encounter deck, so you're kind of screwed. Besides that, what else we got in here? Didn't really mess with it. Most of towards the end, I was just kind of buying things just to have level 2 or higher things to use with Burn After Reading. That was pretty much it. We already talked about Hunting Jacket. Look what I found is always good. I just didn't have very many opportunities to use it. The Expeditious Retreat, I think I used a grand total of once, and it was only against a single enemy. So honestly, I may end up just opting for something else. I thought I was going to run into a lot more issues having to beat certain difficulty levels, but just having Pete Sylvester out or, track shoes out had me at 6, and that alone seemed to be good enough, at least on easy difficulty. So it is kind of what it is. But overall, I'm glad I at least got to the end with Rita. I do like playing Rita a lot. She's kind of a unique way of handling enemies that are something besides just running around and murdering everything. That's pretty much... Oh, I guess the other thing is Observed. She was the first one to pick up Observed. It helped a little. It's always surprising like what type of things you get. It can be anything it can range from something that's literally inconsequential, like Lovers, even though I already had an ally in my hand, to like getting extra actions or extra resources or extra cards in my hand at the extra hand size than throughout the campaign. For Mandy, the Observed was mainly just to counteract the Damned, which is pretty funny. The Damned actually was pretty mild this playthrough. This is the first playthrough I actually did fully with the Damned weakness. Originally, when I first encountered it, I misread the one that did the minus experience because I thought it just did it, period, instead of being defeated. But honestly, a lot of these you can kind of make do with them. The tower is usually not that big of a deal. My God, the tower. So the fact that Rita got the tower and got rid of her overzealous was definitely key for that. For certain, when that happened, it was the best thing ever. Was that on that was on Shattered Aeons? Yeah, that was awesome. Overzealous in this campaign, like Overzealous tends to be considered like a mid-range card because it really has a big swing. It can either do something completely massive to you or nothing at all. And it kind of revolves around how bad the encounter deck is for the scenario you're dealing with. And for Forgotten Age, it's pretty bad. Overzealous was definitely pretty devastating almost every time we drew it. So when I had that opportunity to get the tower and get rid of it, that made everything better. But yeah, getting Damned, even on my messed up runs where I messed up the rules and had to restart and I reshuffled everything, I didn't honestly get anything too nasty. Honestly, the worst ones were probably the reduced hand size, less actions. I think that was it. Like the rest of them were like losing slots or losing an ally, one of my allies, or something along those lines. which wasn't that bad. So, I mean, it wasn't too bad overall. So, also the other thing that's really nice for Damned in the case of Mandy is it's one less weakness in her deck for Mr. Rook to draw, which was really good. Mandy's weakness is of course always kind of a brutal speed bump in some cases. Again, it's kind of revolves around whether or not you have an answer for the encounter deck and what scenario you're doing. The encounter deck in this game this campaign was really bad. So anytime I drew my weakness, I pretty much had to ensure I had a Ward of Protection in my hand just to be prepared for it. Otherwise, I would just kind of get screwed. As for new cards, we didn't really explore too many new cards with Rita because unfortunately she's Miskatonic and specialized cards are not really good for Rita. As far as Miskatonic is concerned, they're mostly for Cloovers. There's like one skill card that can be kind of used, but not really. The only new cards I used were Bum Rush, I think. Yeah, I think it was just Bum Rush. Oh, Bum Rush, and I guess in the very last scenario, I did Glimmer of Hope, the level 2 version. Bum Rush, like I said, is decent. It's just I didn't run into very many opportunities to use it. A Glimmer of Hope, of course, the level 2 version is actually really nice, especially if you're going Exile with Burn After Readings. Really the big change that made Rita better, I think, is the addition of the At a Crossroads. It gave her a lot of card draw and possibly extra action economy. I usually don't mind discarding a lot of her stuff, so getting those extra actions is really good. And then if I happen to draw a bunch of cards and get my weakness, then I'm at least prepared for it with the cards in my hand. Sorry, I'm jumping back to Rita because I've completely forgot to talk about stuff. Spiritual Healing, it was there. It was there. It did reduce me to only 1 horror at the start of scenarios, and that was actually pretty significant when you only have 8. Obviously, everything else here is pretty standard, studious, all that. We already talked about Necronomicon. We only played with Antikythera for the last scenario. I like this. This is a really cool accessory. Obviously, it's competing with Pin to the Queen, but for five experience and 3 resources and getting this out, this thing can do pretty good, especially on difficulties or scenarios where you can survive the minuses that you're running into for the tokens. It is a little bit of a wild card because sometimes you can just be able to activate it, but it won't actually do anything. But it seemed like I hit the 2/4 pretty often, and getting that extra card and resource definitely helps Mandy. I was still pretty resource starved on Mandy. Part of that was probably because I added sound support. Sound support, we played with it with men. It's still amazing. It's just I didn't have a lot of opportunities to play it because everything was so expensive. Mainly because I had to get the Expedition Journal out. Expedition Journal was definitely MVP, but it's not really an actual player card. Besides that, I do like the Skill Mandy deck, simply because it's specifically designed for this campaign, just so I can endure all the high willpower and agility tests it expects you to do. The Knowledge of Powers actually worked pretty well, even when I didn't have the Necronomicon. It went really well with the Grim Memoir, so I can actually get more. Essentially, I used it as a free investigate at that point. A free investigate and possible card draw. Library Pass, insanely broken. No questions asked. It's very, 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 very good. Being able to get out a tome without having to pay for it alone makes it really good. Like, I was just willing to throw out my Grim Memoirs and just use those as free investigates or as extra bonuses in card draw while investigating, and just let it get back into the bottom of my deck. And anything that lets me keep the deck size stable allows me to recur things like my Segment of Onyxes, my Necronomicon, and all that good stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing how this plays in the future. Obviously, with the Necronomicon, it kind of just takes the spotlight. But like for something like Grim Memoir by itself, I mean, spending 5 experience to get this out and then being like, all right, Grim Memoir, come out. It doesn't take a slot, which is really good for characters like Daisy, who, of course, her weakness takes up a hand slot. Same thing for, I guess, even Min, if you want to go that route too. So there's definitely a lot of things you can play around with this. It kind of ensures that if you do have issues where you get a weakness in your hand slot, you can have your Dream Diary in your other hand slot, and then you can use the Library Path to put the Grim Memoirs out, which is definitely a neat little combination. So I definitely would like to explore messing around with Library Pass without using Necronomicon in the future. Also, I don't plan on using Necronomicon again. The only other investigator I have specifically designed around the Necronomicon is Daisy, and that's kind of just because it really fits her theme. But for all the other characters, I'm going to try to get away from Necronomicon. Like I mentioned with Min, I was trying to also get away from Pin of the Queen a little bit. Obviously, for this campaign, I had to go all in, no questions. If I even if I had loosened up even a little bit, things would have gotten out of control. Like, even though I had so many rounds left in Shattered Aeons, all it took on my previous playthrough was getting swamped by those enemies, and I literally just lost turns, just ran out of turns. Because as I was fighting those enemies, cultists kept spawning in. They were getting doom. They were getting put in that location that gave them more doom. There was, of course, the counter cards that give them even more doom. And then at the point, it's like, all right, I can't do all of this and complete the objective in time. But yeah, I'm kind of all over the place with this rambling. I'm just happy I played through it and got to the end and beat it. If I do play this again, I would like to do a different route that's easier and maybe try to do something a little bit more casual. But for now, I think I'm going to take a bit of a break. I kind of just sat down and just sprinted with all these videos, recording all these scenarios, but I'm glad we got it done. With that means we've gotten everything all the way up to Innsmouth completed. So there's Edge of the Earth, Scarlet Keys, Feast of Hemlock Vale, Drowned City in the future. And there's a bunch of custom scenarios I still want to play around with as well. So we'll get to look forward to that in the future. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and take a break and eat an ice cream sandwich. And I am the Depressed Eeyore. This is Arkham Horror the Card Game, doing the Forgotten Age, forging our own path. Mandy Thompson, Rita Young. And I'll see you guys next time.